So you want to get to a 10 UTR, you want to be an 11 UTR, a 12 UTR, a 13 UTR. You got to have the password. You got to have the password to the secret club. That's the key. So, assuming in all seriousness though, assuming that you have played tennis for 2 to 4 years or 4 years. You've competed for 4 years. You go through that period that I talk about, that 4-year period. All right, you're 17, you're 16, you're an adult, you're 22, 23. You've reached that age that's where it's possible. Okay, so how do you get past the 10 UTR? You got to be part of the club. And what that means in tennis is if you're playing D3 tennis, you're not part of the club. You got to play with other players who are at that level. So what happens when you're 16 years old? More likely than not, if you want to be that high of a UTR, the way they describe UTR, you got to be playing with those kids. You have to be on a tournament schedule. That's the way it works. It costs money. You got to spend the money. There's probably ways to get around this, okay? In all seriousness, there's probably ways to get around this paying for tournaments. You've heard the Serena Williams story, things like that. But generally speaking, you got to be on a tournament schedule. So we're talking about what? We're talking about, say, 12 tournaments, 15 tournaments a year. Say 15 tournaments a year. That's 45 matches, 50 matches, maybe 60 matches. You probably, if you're a junior, you're playing USTA in the United States. You're playing national level tournaments. You're playing high level sectional level tournaments. That's how you're going to get to past the 10 UTR. If you're not doing that, the way I see it, how are you going to be a 12 UTR? Because that's what a 12 UTR does. There's no one that claims to be a 12, a 13, or 14 UTR that doesn't do that. So they say, like a D1, let's say D1 is like 13 UTR. Well, then you have to be playing other D1 players, or else you're not a 13 UTR. It's just isn't that the way UTR works? It's based on winning and losing. That's what it's based on. So again, coming back to base, you have this base level of skills. You play tennis enough to get this base level of skills. You have a certain level of athleticism, etc. You got to exist in that pool. There's conversation's over. You want to be a 12 UTR, you're playing 50 matches a year in the USTA circuit, in the collegiate circuit at a D1 level. That's it. Or you're playing challengers, futures, challengers, etc. You have to be in that pool. Video's over.